Whew. The death of the Queen. It's such a moment, isn't it? It's so huge. It's definitely one of the most significant events that will happen in our lifetimes. We'll all remember where we were. We'll remember how we felt, all of us in our own way, feeling corporately a great grief as a nation. Individually, it'll bring up all sorts of emotions and questions. And she's been for so many of us like a key figure, a kind of the granny of the nation. And, you know, I just can't believe she's died. I mean, it's not on one level a surprise, but on another level, it's almost like she'd been around for so long that we always thought she was going to be around forever. And through good times, through bad times, she was this extraordinary constant in the life of the nation. And certainly, when you peel back the layers and get past the headlines and the social media noise, and you think, what's gone on here? It's kind of unique. She's a person who's served out of a vow she made before God, and she's done it on a platform that's been global and of huge influence, but actually hasn't really been that affected by it. The real humility and a real sense of duty and sacrifice. There's one quote which I just read that really struck me. She said this: "At the heart of our faith stands not a preoccupation with our own welfare and comfort, but the concepts of service and of sacrifice, as shown in the life and teachings of the one who made himself nothing." That's Jesus, taking the very form of a servant. Of course, she's referencing that great passage in Philippians, but it seems to be that like her life was built on a decision to let her faith lead her to serve others. She has, in an extraordinary way, embodied what it means to be a Christian. You know, she's a disciple of Jesus who's lived out her life actually quite quietly behind private doors, in probably quite a shy way and quiet way, but with a huge impact. Why? Well, she has made Jesus the center of her life and allowed grace to turn her heart outwards and allowed her leadership to not flow into power and pomp and pride and prestige, but into genuine service of people, to be interested in others, to take time to listen, to work hard to be informed and to engage. These are the stories that are emerging of what the Queen was like, and what an inspiration. You know, I think of her with huge gratitude that we've grown up with a model, a role model of a leader who's not driven by ego, politics or position, but by serving and loving and faith, hope and love at the heart of it. I look at her life and peel back the headlines. I think, wow, you know, what would it look like if we all, coming out of this, chose to make our hearts a place of grace that flowed outwards, that we served somebody. It doesn't need to be billions, just your neighbor. Like, to serve the person on the bus next to you, to love the person who's harder to love. I know that the Queen, like many of us, we're heading for glory. We're heading home, whether it's today or after a rich life, 96 years. But the words of Matthew 25, verse 23 ring out. Jesus says this: "Well done, good and faithful servant." Not a good and faithful leader or good and powerful, successful. Well done. You served. Grace changed your heart and poured your life out for others. And I know when I think of the Queen, I think of every one of us watching, and I pray that every single one of us would be inspired to live a life less ordinary, a life of outward motion, a life of grace. Well done, good and faithful servant.